Hi everybody, Louise here, and today we're going to look at there is and there are. And at the top here, I hope this is right. I looked on Google Translate. However, if you know this is incorrect, please let me know and I can change it. So there is and there are. We use there is and there are to talk about something that exists. For example, in my family there are 4 people. So there are we use of course with the plural noun, and there is we use with the singular. So before we look at some examples and some exercises, look at my lovely mind map. This is called a mind map. And I find mind maps are very good for setting out information about something. And if you're doing a lot of studying, or if your children are doing a lot of studying, a mind map is a very good way to make things clear in your head. Well, I say very good way. For me, it's a very good way, and I try to use mind maps when I'm trying to remember things, and I always tell my children to use them. But maybe it might not work for you or for your children, but try it. So, like I said, this is a mind map with there is and there are. So look at the left hand side here. We have there is. Only one thing is. We know that already. It is. On the right hand side you have 2 or more things with are, plural, and again we know that they are my friends, it is a cat. So there. Now at the bottom they have a little cloud here saying we use there is, there are for describing rooms or pictures. Not always. However, today that's what we will be using there is and there are for. Okie doke. So look here at the side, there is a boy. There is a boy in the picture. There is a book on the table. There is an apple in my hand. There is a car outside the house. And there is a woman in front of the school. Now, something you might notice from all those examples, I don't know if you noticed, but was the prepositions of place. A good thing to remember when you're using a preposition of place, it's very likely we will be using there is or there are. So if you want to say where something is, we use there is. So for example, there is a book on the table. So on, the preposition of place. And we already have spoken about prepositions of place. So feel free to go back and look at that video again if you have any questions, or of course ask me. Super, so that's there is. Now with there are, we have 2 more things. So there are 2 oranges. There are 2 oranges in my bag. One for me, one for you. There are 3 people in my family. Okay. There are 5 glasses on the table. There are 6 women in the shop. There are 4 girls in the classroom. Again with the prepositions of place, and you notice there are plural, oranges, people, glasses, women, girls. Okay, so let's have a look at the next page. Now the second page, it's not as attractive as the mind map, but it has a lot of good information. So we have there is, there are. Meaning to say that something exists or doesn't exist, because of course it could be negative. So we have there is plus a singular noun. There is a book on the desk. there are plus plural noun. There are books on the desk. And then the last one here, there is plus uncountable noun. There is some milk in the fridge, because remember, milk is uncountable. Okay, so those are all affirmative, those are all the positive ways of using there is. How about the negative? Negative, we have there isn't plus a singular noun. So there isn't a pen on the table. There aren't plus, again, a plural noun. There aren't any pens here. And there isn't plus uncountable noun. There isn't any juice in the fridge. Now you notice in these two here, you have an extra word, any. There aren't any pens, there isn't any juice. And I'm not sure if you noticed when we spoke about the positive, we had there is some milk. Now some and any is a whole other situation for us to study, and maybe we will do that later on this week. However, for today, please don't worry too much about some and any. We're just going to concentrate on there is and there are. Okay? So that's the affirmative, the positive, the negative, and now the question. So we have there is a cat on the chair. Question, is there a cat on the chair? I like this kind of question. You just change the position. So is goes to the beginning and there takes its place. So is there a cat on the chair? With the plural, there are cats on the sofa. Question, are there cats on the sofa? Perfect. Just let me... Okay, so those were the questions. Now, if you have the question form here, so how many plus plural noun are there? So how many students are there in your class? And we said there are 10 students. How many days are there in February? There are 28 days. I think this year, 29. So how many people are there in your family? There are however many. Okay, and now of course contractions. There's meaning there is. There is not. There is not. There isn't. There is not. There aren't. There are not. For me personally, I would always prefer to use the contraction. And of course, there's not. Yeah, I would use it. I prefer there isn't. Yeah, there isn't and there aren't. But this could depend on the person, could depend on the teacher or the speaker, the English speaker. Okie doke. And that is our introduction to our there is and there are. Next time I see you, we will be doing some exercises.